Good morning, girls. Today we are going to start a new topic called Structured Query Language. In short, SQL, SQL or SQL. So, what is a structured query language? See, it is a computer language, not in general like your C or C++. It is specifically used for database. So, it is a computer language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data from a relational database. So it is used to store, manipulate, do some operations and also to retrieve. So whatever data which you have stored in the database that can be retrieved with the help of this um, language, that is structured query language. So SQL is the standard language for relational database system. So whatever RDBMS you use, whichever company's RDBMS you use, you have the standard language called SQL to operate that database management system. Or this is how you will um, perform the operations on the database system with the help of this structured query language or SQL. So see all the relational database management systems, like these are all the examples of your RDBMS softwares: MySQL, MS Access, Oracle, Sybase, Informix, Postgres, SQL Server. All these are your RDBMS softwares by different companies. So this MS Access is my Microsoft. This Oracle, this is by Oracle. So all these softwares use standard language, that is a structured query language SQL for manipulating or for operation or doing performing operations on the database. So SQL is for all these softwares. SQL is the standard database language. So what are the advantages of this SQL? The first one is it allows user to access data in the relational database management system. So access. So what do you mean by access? So whatever data you're storing in the database, that can be taken, retrieved. You can access it at any point of time in the way you like, in the way you need it. So you can, and only the amount of, not all the thing which is there in that table, but only which part, uh, by putting some conditions, or the data which satisfies your norms or conditions, only that data can be accessed. So all these things can be performed with the help of your language called SQL. Allows user to describe the data. What is describe? Describing in the sense how to create a table, how what the table should contain, what is the size of the table, what are the data types of the columns, what should be the names of those columns. So all these things can be described by the user only. Next, allows users to define the data in the database and manipulate the data. That is what we perform the operations. You can split the table, you can join the table, and you can join two different tables together. You can again you can fetch the data from the newly formed table. So all this comes under your manipulations. So all these operations can be performed with the help of some commands, and your SQL is nothing but the set of these commands which are used for accessing the database. Next, allows to embed within other languages using SQL modules, libraries, and pre-compilers. So this SQL code, whichever you're using, that code can be embedded into other languages also. Like in Java, um, if you want to store your data in a database, that the front end is Java program, you can put this SQL code into Java program and allow the user to enter the data and take the data and store in the database. So to store the data in the database, you have to send this data into the database, which can be done through this SQL, which is embedded into your programming language. And it also allows user to create and draw. I mean, it creates new databases and new tables, and can also delete. Drop is nothing but delete those databases and delete those tables when they are no longer required. Next, allows user to create view stored procedure functions in a database. So these are the procedures. I mean, these are the uh, I mean, part of your SQL language, which have some specific functions. Like view has some specific properties, procedure has some properties, functions have properties. So with the help of these things in the SQL, options in the SQL language, you can handle the database more effectively. It handle the data in the database more effectively. And last and final, it helps in setting the permissions on these tables. Permissions in the sense who can use them, who are allowed to use them, who can access the data, who can update the data. All people are not allowed to update. Some people are allowed only to view the data. I mean, they can only see what is there in the database. They can't change or they can't update the data. So how this can be managed, this can be done with the help of these permissions. Because if you don't set permissions, an unknown person comes and tries to update the data or put some wrong values into your database, which may cause damage. So to avoid such kind of things, you will be setting permissions. So all these things, all these operations can be performed through this structured query language. Okay, so to do all these things, again, this SQL is categorized into SQL commands are generally categorized into mainly three categories. Okay, this data query language is a part of data manipulation language only, but here we are seeing them as four. If you write three also, it's correct. So data definition language, data manipulation language, and data control language. And you also have one more part, which is TCL. TCL, transaction control language. So what is these are, this is how you can pictographically or pictorially represent the commands. So SQL commands can be categorized into four: DDL, DQL. DQL and DML are one on the same. Just this one single command is separated into put under the heading DQL. Actually, this is a part of the data manipulation language only, and DCL. So mainly you can say that SQL commands can be categorized into three categories: definition language, manipulation language, and control language. So what are all the commands that come under definition language? Create, alter, drop, rename, truncate, commit. Actually, this is not comment, this is commit. Next, and the data manipulation language commands are insert, update, delete, merge, call, log, select. All these come under your data manipulation language. And data control language, grant, revoke. So what are these commands? Generally, we use the most commonly used commands are DDL commands and DML commands. These DCL commands come into picture only when you have to set the permissions. They are not regularly used. Only when you want to set the permissions, change the permissions, assign or revoke. In such case, you will have this DCL. See, we will see what the data definition language actually say does. The data definition language consists of SQL commands that can be used to define the database schema. See here, schema is nothing but all the tables together, grouped together is called a schema. Not one single table, number of tables, and number of tables together form a database schema. See, for example. um for bank, there will be one schema. For college, there will be one schema. How? See, in bank, the tables, the type of tables or the type of data which you have to store is different. It will have some different kind of tables like customer ID, um, deposit, withdrawal, um, balance. So these are the columns or tables that columns you have in a table in bank schema. But here in this student schema or college schema, college is a schema where you can have multiple tables like student table, teacher table, course table, um, so all these examination table or score, different tables together which are all related to the college come under your college schema. So this is how a schema is formed. Schema is nothing but your collection of tables. So it simply deals with description of the database schema and is used to create and modify the structure of database objects in the database. So the main purpose of this data definition language is to create and modify the structure of database objects in the database. So how to database objects are nothing but your tables. So how to create tables, how to modify their structures. This is what you've done with the help of this data definition language. So some commands which come under DDL are create. So what is create? It is used to create the database or its objects. Uh, so like table, index, function, views, for everything. For the first time you write, you have to create them. So once you create a table only, then you can do the manipulations. So first, the main and foremost important command is create. So create the objects like what you are creating, tables, views, triggers. Okay, so what are these triggers? What are views? We will discuss them in detail later. But to create all these, to start with, you have to use this create command. So first, you know how to create a table, right? So in the same manner, you will be creating indexes also, views also, triggers also, procedures also. But the purpose of these things are different. Table, the purpose is function is different. For view, the function is different. And for triggers, functions are different. The operations you perform are different. Next, drop. So you create it, okay, but when you want to delete it because there might be some error or there is no more need of that object in your database, then you can use this drop command. So it is used to delete objects from the database. Next, alter the structure of the database. See, initially you have created a table with three columns, and now you want to add two more columns so that the table becomes table is the size of 5 columns. Will you create a one more table again with this 5 columns? Already you have 3 columns. You have some data in those columns. If you want to add 2 extra columns, then you will use this alter command. It is used to alter the structure of the database. So it is just like you are altering how you alter your clothes. The same manner, already existing thing, already existing table can be altered. You can add in new columns. At the same time, you can delete some columns also. You see, after adding 5 columns, again I think this fifth column is not necessary. I can delete. No need to delete the whole table. You can just only delete this column. Next, truncate. So it is used to remove all records from a table, including all spaces allocated for the records are removed. So when you want to remove only the tables, I'm not saying remove the whole table. You can delete only some records of or all the records in the table. The table structure will be there. You can remove only the records, I mean the values which are there in the table with the help of this truncate. Next one is comment. So you can add comments in the data dictionary. So already we have discussed what data dictionary is. So you can add some comments in the data dictionary with the help of this comment command. And rename, you can change the name of the already existing object. Again, object means table, index, views, procedure, function, trigger, anything. You can change the names by using this rename command. So this is about your data definition language, and in the next class we will see about data manipulation language, control language, and transaction control languages in detail. So if you have any doubts, ping me in the group. Thank you.